the new section 2, which the
All right, we're live. This is Senate Transportation. It's Thursday, March 28th, I think. And we're talking about the T-bill.
silly maple syrup on the state email.
We're not talking about maple syrup.
So I just want to let you know, I do have the section 2 summary of the investments that you like to include in your bill that the agency wrote, and Michelle is here and I've got it. So it may make more sense for Michelle or, to go through it, although I'm happy to walk through it, but I had nothing to do with its creation, so.
Section 2, this was the,
You always like to put in a new section 2 that the House does not, that has a summary of all of the things that you're doing in the bill.
That's what we like to call
Jim Ash
Right.
section, yes.
So the agency created that. I have copies of it for you if you'd like to look at that at any point.
Didn't change too much then, did it? Or-
Well, it has listing of all the different projects and stuff, so we go through the whiteboard and we go through the budget and we just replace them.
And you do the same categories that,
Yeah, we use the same framework and then we just update it with the current data. And there's a couple of places where until you make your money decisions that will be open.
Thank you.
And I think it was posted, it was one of the ones that was posted. It's called 2A because you still have a 2. But it's there.
okay, so we'll start with that and pass that out.
Oh, okay. Michelle, do you want to?
Or you can walk it through, or Michelle
Yeah.
can come up.
You can just walk me through.
Yeah, I don't think it's complicated.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, no, it's high level stuff.
Yeah. So we would reorder. This would be a new section 2.
Right.
Section 3
But
would
since you
be,
haven't told me yet what you want to do about section 2.
It would just be an update.
Oh, I thought
if it's on here.
it's on there. Yeah, it's called section 2A at this point. So,
On draft 2.1, no.
yes, 2.1 and the document number, just to make sure it's 375747. Actually,
I'm happy
you know
to.
what, I was just gonna say, Michelle, I would just end up reading it because I'm not as familiar with it as you are. Probably you can do a much better overview than I can. Thank you.
Do we need to go through line by line?
No.
I'm looking at it.
Which one is it again here?
I just see it on there.
It's right at the
Summary of
top.
transportation
The
investments.
second one down. Draft
Okay, well, so
2.1,
it's
summary
okay.
transportation.
For whatever reason, I'm having a hard time for some of the stuff to open.
2.1.
They updated it recently, you have to refresh the whole page.
Okay, then I
That's a big page.
get rid of that.
I think,
I mean, we could just kind of look at it. It's pretty, it's all the sections we did before, park and ride. We list them,
yeah, no,
what
it's,
the bike and ped programs are.
unless there was something new that needed to be, that didn't fall into one of the existing categories. This is just updating, for, our this 25 transportation bill.
So if we make any changes, you would add them.
Yeah, we'll work with Logan.
I think it looks fine.
Yeah, it follows, for the record, Michelle Boomhauer, Agency of Transportation. It follows the same format you've been using. It's focused on your greenhouse gas reduction, greenhouse gas emission reduction, has things like your EV incentives and your public transit, rail, park and rides, that sort of thing. And we update the list of all the places where, for instance, Transportation Alternative Program grants for bike ped, lists all the towns that those are occurring in within the budget.
The transportation alternatives are not like alternative ways of doing transport. It's just like, it could be like a clean water project, stormwater project.
It could also be a stormwater project, a federal program. And if you recall, there have been over time specific percentages recommended for investment between bike ped and stormwater that have been put in session law.
The transportation alternatives is what the federal
That's what
program
the
is
federal
called.
program is called.
And it's always bike ped or stormwater or
It's
environmental.
Yeah, it's environmental mitigation and historic. It can also be like the Danville train station improvements, I think might have been one of them.
Okay.
Thank you for updating it.
Sure.
I think, you know, with the whole emphasis on carbon reduction, it's just a one place where you get a sense of the totality, all the ways in which state government is supporting the goal here.
I'm like, so the rail program, the 48 million, how much of that is per passenger rail, like 10 million?
About 10 million, but if you think about the fact that every shipment we do by rail is taking trucks off the road, that's why we include the entire amount in.
Yeah, because I think one rail car replaced like 2 or 3 tractor
Yeah,
A
trailers.
little bit
So,
more than that.
so that's why we put it in, is obviously it's a much more,
We used to be able to haul 20 ton of fertilizer and a rail car would have 100 ton. And it was not only as far as on the road usage, but we used to, when we unloaded it at the mill that I was at, we could almost unload that 100 ton at the same amount of time that we could unload one truck, because it would be able to, you know, take it. And so you had all that energy usage that wasn't being used up.
we used to put in, I think what that ratio was, 1 rail car.
Oh, we can add that in.
I mean,
You should do that on your floor report.
no, it's right here. That's your section. No, I thought we did, and, you know, 1 rail car,
And so you did this basically as passed by the House, as far as these numbers.
Yes, and so we'll update them as we figure it out.
but you said any changes we make, we'll just modify.
No, I think it looks good. So this is the new section 2.
Why did the House not do this?
Well, we did it one year, and then I guess the House is like, since we always do it, they just let us do it. They're like, oh, let's let them.
They're more important, they like that 10G report.
Yeah, they have more work to do on the 10T report.
Tell you what didn't happen, this tells you what you did do.
It was a great idea, I thought, from Center Ave, that, because we go through this whole bill, but there wasn't any place where these kind of projects were broken out, because we would just say, whoa, look at all these great projects in here, but nobody ever did it. Help to call them out. Because these are often what people want to know about.
And it also gives you a sense of even all the different places, in fact, investments are made to, so it puts it all in one place. Oh, well, now we can take that off the list.
Okay, so what else do you have?
Next one is section 7, and it's it's the bonding. There's one very small change and then one question to respond to. So this is regarding the bonding, it's section 7. And
So what would it be
the
on,
first was that.
what would it be on here?
This is what we're seeing.
Okay.
Be this guy, they should,
No, it should,
bonding.
Anti-bonding, that would be it.
oh, this was one may waive or reduce.
Correct, and there was, first of all, the however
Yeah.
being corrected, but then it was the may waive or reduce, and I can speak to it briefly, but Michelle probably will want to stand more on it, that the agency does not want to include reduce, that I think that there is the ability to reduce above, but also the point of this was to make it simpler and make it easier for very small contractors to get involved. And there is some, there is paperwork involved in getting a bond, even if it's a very small bond. And so the point of it was to, you know, truly make it simpler for those to get in.
So in some cases, you wouldn't have any bond requirement at all. But up above, you can use a reduction.
So is this all okay?
Would anyone like to point out the correction we make around however?
Yeah, I see that.
Colon,
Do we
however.
have an addendum for it?
It just wants you to know there are other people that pay attention to grammar.
I'd rather leave it,
I think.
I'd rather discover it on the bill, and then we can do an addendum the next day.
I might start joining Senator Sears and voting no against grammatical changes.
Do we have that here? No.
No,
No, that's not- oh, actually, there was a place where you pointed it out and you made a change.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
after that one.
Just on the floor,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
it's fine, you can make it,
Right.
but- right? I mean, that was the second one this session that we just voted on yesterday.
Oh.
All right,
So the
I
next,
think this looks fine.
That was the only change.
Well, I.
Why is my May waive highlighted at the
I
end?
think that was,
that was that was the waiver versus reduction
Elsewhere.
question.
Used to say.
Well, I was saying, should we say may waive or reduce? And what this is clear, just to say you could waive it entirely and up above gave you the permission to set it at whatever sum the agency directed, conditioned, et cetera. So in one place, you already had the authority to reduce, and then this simply gives them authority to entirely waive it, if I understand the argument.
So the gray does not mean that it's anything new, it just meant it was something that was under discussion.
Highlighted, and just
So I appreciate your deliberation on why we don't need to add reduce there.
Okay,
To me,
section
It's the
7
10G report.
closed out.
Okay, the next one is the one that is identified as the 10G report, and this is section 8. And this is the same as you've seen it, except that yes, it's just on page 3, lines 12 and 13.
oh yeah, so we're picking it up at a later point where estimates can be much
Correct.
more, they're developed. The other is just so preliminary, it's sort of like we've got an idea. So,
And the percentages and the dollar amount were changed from what the House had as well in that spike area. They had,
and is it 10 million or 10,000?
this is 10,000.
it was supposed to be 10 million?
I think it's supposed to be 10 million.
Yeah,
I was gonna say 10,000 is
it's
like,
gonna be all the projects.
Sorry about that.
So that's the only change we made.
From the current.
all right, so
And it was 8 million, and now it's 10 million, and it was 50%, and this is 100%, and the location, I mean, the starting point of the measurement is changed.
we're trying to reduce the number of projects that are subject to reporting.
Jeremy will be in tomorrow. There's some other testimony and he can answer any.
Oh, did you find anything more about that Hardwick Bridge?
Yes, there's a long story there.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Will Jeremy be able to sort of quantify the cost and staff hours for every one of these that trigger a 10G report?
Maybe he can give it a wag.
Okay.
Well, that's part of the argument for moving the thresholds in terms of the resource involved to track all this.
Does this also get to the question we had was about the auditor's report? Were we gonna hear from Jeremy on like the letter that they were gonna send, that they had drafted a letter but never
Oh, this
sent
is
it?
for the, yeah. on the other
Response to the
topic.
audit findings.
Yes.
I did have a note about this, though, that you were
But isn't
talking
it
about having
creepy?
auditor's testimony.
Well, we wanted to hear from the agency before we did that, so that if we need to, the auditor could respond to their response. We did get an email. But I had this, because this talks about increased costs, increased estimated costs. So I thought this was part of this section would be a section where
I guess I may be confused. So we have
join the
the
club.
telecommunications bill where we never responded to the auditor.
Oh, right,
And
maybe I.
Jeremy, and we had draft letters and.
Yeah, okay, I
he
was,
coming in to talk
it was
about.
me that was confused. I was getting the two, the right of way issue with the paving
Yes.
auditor's report. That's
Yes.
the two. I
There
was-
was no response needed on the paving auditor's report, or if there was.
You did make
we didn't
responses.
make one.
So do we, I guess the question on 2 is, do we want to lower those thresholds? Or do we
Well, we-
concur with the House? And 2 is 8 million down to 5, and then the other was moving it from 100 to 75.
I think Jeremy's team was fine with those.
Okay.
It was the secondary ones that were more
Well, we were
problematic.
concerned because it's so early in the process to have an estimate that had any validity to it, was just kind of
Oh,
impossible.
so the 3, so we were okay with 2, but unless people want to redo the, my notes were that, it was 3 and it was, because they had all this language about the front of the book, back of the book. So we got rid of that and changed to preliminary plan.
Which picks it up later in the process where you've got a more developed sense of what that project is and what would be the cost associated. The first is sort of like, we've got an idea.
Where is the preliminary plan? What happens before preliminary plan?
So there's scoping, which is like very high level understanding of what are the environmental factors, the right-of-way factors, the and there's like a whole list of things that we're looking at initially. And then we go into from there, if a project ends up getting selected to go into the program, it'll go into preliminary engineering. And there's a phase between basically start and 30% where we're refining the cost, looking at what option we're gonna choose and those sort of things.
That happens in preliminary.
Pre-preliminary, I mean, in preliminary engineering, but pre-30% design. And so 30% design is where we feel confident that we have a pretty good handle on what we're gonna construct, how much it's likely to cost, what the timeline's gonna be, so that, you can do the escalators and that sort of thing, depending on.
So is the next step after preliminary engineering, preliminary plan? Or is there another
Same
step?
thing, same thing.
Or is there another step?
There's
or-
another step above that, which I can't remember what the name of it
Isn't there
is.
one with initials like E and D?
E&E.
D&E is
Is very
back
early.
below.
Or
That's-
scoping?
Scoping, that's more like development and evaluation, and scoping are often used interchangeably.
Okay.
And then, there's like a pre-final plans, and I can't think of what that term is, that's more like when you get to about 70 or 80% complete design.
Okay.
Jeremy can clarify all that tomorrow.
But we did feel that we needed to have the start point for any of these cost estimates be one where there was some enough information to really determine what that benchmark cost should be.
And we took out that 50%.
And we took out front of the book because we got into a big debate about what does that even mean.
Yeah. So it's just the 10 million, basically, or 100% instead of 8 million, 50. That's the change we made.
Yes.
So we're okay with that section?
We talked about inviting the deputy auditor, but I don't know if it's necessary.
I think we're addressing everything that,
Yeah. Got his email, we check in. You can say his name 3 times and then usually a text or email will appear. Okay, what else?
The next one is 2 sections together, it's, section 13 and 15.
We're gonna say section 8. is closed
There's
out.
replace, the one that says replace your ride and electrify your fleet. That one. So the first is on,
I have a hard copy of that.
oh, I'm sorry, yes, right
For
here.
those of us who like paper.
Replace your rights.
Like to replace-
At 15.
Well, I'm keeping them right here.
So section 13 is the replace your ride program, and rather than, grab out.
Well, we had, couldn't pass.
Right, there
Pass it, but except for, you didn't pass it because of.
right, so the House language was past the safety inspection portion, but not necessarily the emissions or onboard diagnostic systems inspection portion of the annual inspection within the prior year. And you changed it just to had passed the annual inspection within the prior 18 months.
This seems easier.
And I, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, could we close out 13 then? Okay with that?
And I didn't print out, section 14, but I will tell you that I talked with the editor about that notwithstanding that was at the beginning. And if we went around and around on it, and ultimately he said, even though in this particular instance, it probably isn't necessary, that there are times when it would make sense because it will give some added clarity. And that, so for that reason, the protocol is to always include it, even when in this particular case, it seemed unnecessary because you were notwithstanding and then waiving exactly the same thing. But he advised keeping it, but in this particular case, it probably isn't necessary, but he advised keeping it, so it's really up to you.
We'll keep it.
Okay.
I'm declaring victory, or, no, defeat.
Declare victory, going
The
home.
reason for my question was validated, it's probably not necessary, but, it's.
Sometimes it can be, so yeah.
Helpful.
It's kind of like the Oxford comma, people, I mean, there are times when it really matters, and so it's a good idea to always
Yes.
include it, so.
So
Totally good.
that allows us to close out section 14.
I just like keeping the lawyers guessing in the future. So the ambiguity.
All right, now this is.
So then now 15 is on this piece of paper, and it is, the change is on the back. And this, I believe, was something that Senator Chittenden had suggested, is rather than having a flat 2,500 purchase and lease incentive, instead to have the incentive equal to 20% of the purchase price, but not to exceed 20%.
Was the 20% suggested by the agency? Where did we come up with 20%?
Yeah, I wondered about that.
I think Senator Chipman may have come up with that, it may be like what we've done in the past.
And I don't care about 20%, I think we had 20 or 25% on another program.
Okay.
Patrick will be in next week, I believe he's scheduled,
So we should hold that.
The e-bike program is what comes to mind.
Well, you didn't want to have,
I didn't want to be very prescriptive and then have it say like, oh, it should, but maybe that's.
but you did want to give it.
Well, the concern was if you buy something for 2,600 and you get it.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally, right, no, I totally think we need a percentage in there, I just didn't know if 20 was based on.
Something that we've said some other place, so that we've got.
We will
So
ask
keep this
Patrick
open.
about it.
So keep this open as to the 20%.
So wait, the section 15?
Correct.
To. So then my notes, I had 25%, like just over there with a question mark, so maybe we will just ask Patrick.
The next one is, it's section 20, which is EVSE. Yep, section 20 EVSE.
What's it called?
This down?
EVSA statute.
Okay, yes, and the first couple of statutes are fine, but you had miscellaneous changes to the new section 2907, which begins on page 2. You wanted to make sure that the map not only reflected the electric vehicle infrastructure deployment plan, but also the goals that had been put into place in the new section 2906, so that's what's on lines 12 and 13. And then you also wanted to add in a requirement that the agency shall file a report on the current conditions of EVSE available to the public and deployed through the assistance of agency funding with the House and Senate Committees on Transportation no later than January 15th. And this changes, I think, 2 things. This changed,
They have the report.
yeah, it takes out the report on the additional efforts to deploy EVSE through any state EVSE grant programs. And it
Limits it to what transportation does and not all.
yeah, actually, I amended number 3. It took out 2 entirely and amended number 3 so that it's specifically what the
So you
agency.
did strike 2 entirely, and then read them. So there's only 2 now.
Exactly.
Number 2, current conditions. Is it is it the current conditions or would it be the status? I'm just thinking, isn't that really what we want?
They're working or they're not working.
Yeah, oh,
I think,
oh,
so I don't know if current conditions is really the right word.
Operability.
Operability, maybe operability, is the right word.
yeah, just conditions seem to be,
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
So replace conditions with operability, but keep current?
Current operability.
Is that the same as status? Do you like operability over status?
I like operability because it's very clear that is the unit working or not working? It's not like, is it rusty? Is it, whatever.
I mean, probably don't have to say current, but I'm okay saying current, because what else would you be supporting to let it say current?
Past operability. Making this case.
It'll be current as soon as, it'll be out of date as soon as you write it.
So the final change was that all of these reports were supposed to be posted. The House had it to be posted on the AOT's and the ACCD's websites, and you had it just be the AOT's website.
So I had as a note, ask Bronwyn about current reports. Next to that we were striking, I can't remember what we were gonna ask her, maybe just what they're doing. The reports are part of section. Yeah, I guess we were gonna ask what they were doing with the current program. But you're not putting their program, our report on your website.
so is this okay then with just replacing conditions with, are they working or not? I'd like to put that in parentheses, i.e. are they working?
The footnote.
Huh?
Okay, yeah, and we struck out that other report.
Correct, you struck out the second report and amended the third one.
It was just about extra effort. Just makes sense. So we can close out section 20.
Mhm.
These changes.
Right, with the replacement of conditions with operability.
The next thing I have on this is, I don't have anything for you, but section 23, I had a note that Michelle was either going to testify or get back to you on it, and I don't know if that section, and I don't have a copy of it, so you have to look at your own.
Yes, we were gonna hear from Michelle after discussions with Ag.
Oh, yes.
Because Ag came in and said,
They already had the systems in place to,
they wanted
We
to,
talked about this yesterday.
you and I talked about it.
Oh, just,
We didn't have a committee discussion.
absolutely.
Yeah,
well, you were unanimous in that. What did
Yes.
you decide?
Michelle and I agreed, if you guys just trust
All right.
Michelle and I.
All right.
Do you want to
On we go.
testify, or do you just want to testify from over there?
I can testify from over here, Michelle Boomhauer, Agency of Transportation. I worked with Steve Collier of the Agency of Agriculture, and he and his staff and myself and Patrick are going to be meeting to come up with what will be the outreach plan for communicating with the EVSE contractors who are doing this work in the state, making sure that we have a firm communications plan about notifying them that they're going to be regulated, what we're regulating, how it's gonna work and when. And then make sure we put in place a trigger in both the ACCD, probably BGS and AOT procurement processes, whereby if we have a new vendor coming in that has never experienced Vermont, doesn't understand the regulations, that we make sure they get a welcome to Vermont package, and because they'll need to be licensed with the Agency of Ag to operate in the state. So I think that we have resolved the issues, can do it offline without having to put it in session law.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, because first we heard that it was needed, then we heard Ag said it wasn't needed, so we wanted to circle back to AOT, and they're working together, so we could add language saying you should do what you're already doing, but we try to avoid that, so.
Yes, absolutely.
So delete 23.
So we're gonna delete section 23 and close it out.
So then the next
I don't know if
is,
you
I'm
can
sorry.
close once you delete.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can. You can close it out because you deleted it. It's finished.
So there were many little changes to this. This is from
Which one?
the Public Utility Commission. It might say beneficial electrification. I don't know if that's still the correct title or not, because I don't.
That's the what they refer
Yes,
to
it
over.
says beneficial.
Electrification. Is that what the the little heading above should say, or should it say something different? I don't know what beneficial electrification means.
I mean, it means something in the regulatory world. I don't know if it means much here, but I don't even know what those, I forget what those asterisks, they have another name for that title, what that,
It is a reader assistance heading.
yeah. So I don't know what the guidelines on the reader assistance settings.
Well, we try to make them generally accurate, so if it no longer has anything
I mean, I
to do
guess
with
it's
that.
a beneficial electrification report.
Okay,
I mean, it's not really about beneficial, I mean, it's reporting back about how the utilities are supporting electric vehicle, beneficial electrification, or vehicle electrification. I'm okay with it, because I don't think it matters.
I must be contagious. It doesn't matter.
so there
Get
are,
rid of it, it's gratuitous language.
so
No,
there are.
we do need this,
I'm sorry.
this was actually, very, the heading that was in the House was really problematic because it was much broader in terms of how it was written.
Yeah, the report, so this,
Like line extension, I think was what they were
Yes.
referring to,
Yes.
which wasn't really what we're talking about.
so on this, I did get an email from the general manager of Washington Electric Co-op concerned about it not addressing all the issues. So he was responding to the, as the report, so I don't know if the PUC changes address the concerns, because this, but I think this does talk about putting a comparison of the practices and the typical costs, because basically WEC does it differently than other utilities, and they do that because they're trying to save costs borne by their ratepayers, because this will have a ratepayer cost. So they wanted to have cost to ratepayers be part of this kind of thing. So I want to go back to PUC and just see about that. So I want to leave it open.
Okay.
I think this is good. What we have is just a question.
Including a comparison and a description, and, I mean, I guess you could get rid of and do comma after the practices, a description and, impact on ratepayers.
Like typical costs,
Yeah, and then just
like is
add
that,
something about
right, ratepayers.
ratepayer impact. That would work.
Okay, so I'm just making a note to pass along unless you get this for tomorrow.
And you would need an Oxford comma there.
Yes, probably looks like it.
Mhm.
We'll put it,
Oh, wait, where?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
including
And
practices,
including a
comma,
comparison.
after practices,
It's
comma.
not really, yeah.
and a
I don't really think it's a-
description of the frequency.
And
Just keep
impact
saying
on-
and, you don't need.
Yeah, there are a lot of
comma.
ands there.
No, you don't need to have an and, you just put a comma after practices, a
I think-
description of.
I think the description goes to both the frequency and to the typical
It does.
costs. I believe a description of the frequency and typical costs of,
I want both those.
so I don't think you want to comment after frequency.
Oh, no, I was putting my comma after practices.
Practices, right, but I thought somebody was saying put it in frequency as well.
And then I would put in, you could add it at the end, and, ratepayer impact,
Yeah, let's,
or wherever you wanna put it.
So take out the and after practices and then put and rate payer impact?
Yeah.
So I'll make this change and email it to you and then you can email it to whomever, okay.
we'll, if we need to
I'll get that.
change it, we'll do that.
The next one probably says mobility guide. Is there a mobility? Yep, mobility services guide.
Oh, this is where I was,
Um,
What section?
you don't build your own independent of what else is out there.
Section 25.
Right, section 25, this was of the complement.
Yeah.
language,
I have
and-
We just didn't wanna duplicate.
Right, so it amends the language in general, and it says details of other existing programs that may provide a foundation for or complement a new program in a manner that is not duplicative.
Yeah.
I get it?
I used to say,
I was really concerned about, what we see all the time, and that is, well, we don't think something is at the level of service we want, so we'll create our own and then come in and say, now help fund it, and you're putting a lot, it's the same thing we did with nursing homes in many ways, certificate of
We
need.
have the same in rental agencies as far as within helping the people that need help. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and they all do the same thing. And they all get funding, and they all have their own structures.
so this requires the agency to do a guide, and so this would be part of the.
Yeah, in other words, if a municipality or a region was interested in doing this, they would have to, know what already exists so that they're not duplicating it, and they would, anything they would do would build on that resource investment that's already been made. As opposed to, we wanna create our own parallel and then come in and fund it, which is what we see a lot of.
Compete.
What?
And they compete with us.
Well, because the pot of money is fixed, so,
Right.
So this is, so you'll remember that section 26, this says, if you're looking for it online, it probably says MTI grant program.
Yeah.
Section 26 in this, the House bill is a session law, and there was also session law several years ago, and you really need both of them to make it work. And you said, why don't we put everything together and have it codified, since it seems to be a program that is continuing. So this is the first time you've actually seen it all together and codified.
So it's not highlighted because it's all new.
Exactly, it's all new. So do you just want to read through it, or you can ask the questions,
Because
or?
what they had, did you take some of this language?
I took all of the concepts from both the old and the new session law. And then you had also asked for some additional changes, and then I kind of massaged it, sent it, Michelle and I sent it back and forth a couple of times to make sure that I had incorporated all of the concepts that were there. And so this hopefully is.
And this is where we also, where they had that, the MTI program was from May, and then we just said 4 months.
Correct. What do you think? I can
Instead of
check
saying
there were,
specific, what month they specifically have to be offered.
yes, yes, it was that, and there was another. And I guess those were the biggest things, was the 4 months and then combining the two and putting it into statute.
So. This the $10,000 thing, that was from the other. from the other-
100,000?
The 100,000?
100,000.
Yes,
Resident practice.
that was in the original session law. 100,000.
Is that what the maximum of all MTI grants are? Just for capital or operational costs. What else? would there be?
sometimes if we had more money, you might have to come in and amend the statute for the 100,000.
Or that, if it's only likely to be that 1 year, you could not withstand it when you appropriate it.
We'd like that.
Notwithstanding,
We love notwithstandings.
the MTI grants are always for capital or operational costs. I guess I guess if it's a study, those,
Yeah.
are those MTI grants too?
Yeah, I think that's,
So those aren't gonna be over 100,000.
oh no. Yeah, typically with these, well, there's been a variety of different things, but more recently, it's been microtransit pilots.
Oh, I think one of the other things, I think Senator Kitchell had raised, that it said, one of them said expand newer existing, and you made the point that you would create newer expand existing,
Right.
so that is changed here.
You don't want to-
Right. You're right. Good memory. Thank you.
You get to declare victory again. Okay,
My husband used to say, like, if there's anything wrong, he could depend on me to find it. I don't think it was complimentary.
Well, here,
My wife's good at that too.
Oh.
here is a good aspect. Okay, so we can
So,
close out,
okay with this one?
this was section 27, right?
26.
26, yeah.
Uh,
No, 28 is, we made the change.
Yes, I did not put it up because it was just, I don't think I printed it out. No, I did not, because it was just there was the one place that you had seen less and you said, oh, that should be fewer, and so I changed it.
That's what 28, we left it open
Only in
for,
committee.
No, it's not open, it was just, I had made a change and so I wanted to
She's
let you
just
know.
alerting that she did make.
but I had that it was open because we
Oh.
not only did for Chittenden grammar problem, but we had number 3 about providing a publicly available response summary detailing public participation activities.
Okay, I
Is this
didn't
pretty
have
well with you,
anything.
Michelle, because this would be used, section 3 was provides a publicly available responsiveness summary detailing the public participation activities. We're in the final draft of the design standard, and I have new language in my notes.
Yeah, what's your language say?
Well, no, I don't have any, but I had that we were going to maybe change.
I had this note down here, and I don't know if it applies to that or not, it's per recommendation of the law frameworks, I don't know if it's this or this.
We just got rid of, we got rid of transportation equity framework because that didn't work.
Where-
And then we said and other stakeholders. So,
No, that wasn't-
because the framework is not, a stakeholder.
No. I'm not sure. Section 3 is fine. We're fine with providing a responsiveness summary.
Oh. Oh my gosh, I'm really
But
sorry, there are other things, you're absolutely right. There was something about,
Yeah.
Four.
say, right,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Vermont Transportation Equity Framework would say other stakeholders.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I have there on that page, striking out Vermont Transportation Equity Framework that says AOT
That's
to get
right.
new language.
Because the framework is not a person.
Yeah, that's how we picked up.
Back to me.
So that's, I'm sorry, so it's just on page 41, line 8,
Yes.
okay, that gets
We're
replaced
gonna move
with.
the framework somewhere else,
Yeah, we're
because that
gonna
was
say-
sort of a,
In alignment with the equity
Yeah,
framework.
yeah.
So are you,
At the beginning
can you
of
still give
section.
us language?
At the beginning of section 4,
At the beginning of section 4,
Okay.
you could put in alignment with the equity framework, consult directly, blah, blah, blah.
and I would just use the Vermont Transportation Equity Framework.
And then on page 41, line 8,
we would just do comma and other stakeholders.
And other
And other
stakeholders.
stakeholders.
There's already a comment,
That's
we
how
have
we
2
would-
comments.
Okay, so I will make those changes and
You
it will
want 2
be,
comments or
all right, there, I'm sorry, additional.
in alignment?
Okay. So then the next I have,
So I think
except-
that means that section 28 is closed.
Yeah, with those 2 changes.
Yep, and I will highlight that in your next, and have the whole thing together, just because you won't have seen it before.
Okay. That's fine. We are making progress.
And the next thing I have is, section 30, the emissions reductions analysis and report, and I had a note that said treasurer's testimony question mark.
Where is this on our
It's
list?
at page 45, section 30.
Is there a document?
No, it's part of your, it's just, I'm just,
Was that, Ashland's testimony about?
That was
the-
Ashland.
Oh,
So you're saying that
you
we,
hadn't given me anything, it was open because you were gonna take testimony from the treasurer, so I'm just checking in to see,
which
did
we
you?
did, and they thought it was great.
So it's an okay? Okay. So,
Just wanna make sure the assignment that was given to the treasurer was one that they accepted.
They did say that there were some things that the treasurer might not do, might not. We don't know what those things are. Yeah. Might be something.
Sound like Donald Rumsfeld, they're known
Unknown
unknowns,
and
they're
unknown.
unknowns, huh?
I try to be like Donald.
And there was a book, Haiku by Donald Rumsfeld. Mhm.
so, I have 3 different categories now. I can tell you which ones of the bill are not yet closed, just to clarify what's not yet closed. I also,
Should we look at your handout? Is that helpful?
Sure.
I think that's easier than flipping through.
Okay.
Alright.
So
We
the
all
things
have
that are
this
not, I'm sorry, the things that are not closed are, section 2, and then the group section 3 through 6, which are the two, transfers.
Of the money.
Groups of transfers of money. So those are not,
So wait, can you say that again?
certainly, section 2, which is the EVSE funding, and then sections 3 through 6, which are the several different transfers that go on, to state.
Which is actually section 3 now, because we.
Correct, but we're gonna go with
Yeah, yeah.
their numbers for now.
Yeah, we're open because we haven't made decisions on it.
Right, those are open.
So 3 through 6.
2, and then 3 through 6 all stay open. And then, related to, section 15
What,
is,
You just skipped over some.
no, because it's.
No, we already did
15 is
that.
related.
And we did 7 already.
we took care of everything up to
But it-
section.
So section 7 is closed.
Right, it is.
So.
Yep. 7 and 8 are both closed.
We're still,
9, we deleted.
Deleted, 13 you closed, 14 you closed. 15, is that 20%, so
We
that's
just
still
check on
open,
that.
still open. 18 is related to section 6, so that's still open. You closed out section 20 just now. You closed out 23, or actually you deleted 23. Section 24 is still open. I'm going to make changes and send it back so you can send it to PUC and others. 25 is closed, 26 is closed. I need to make the changes that I missed on section 28. 30 is closed.
We haven't got
And
the
then,
money and just, that's.
right, and then I do have the changes that you made to the three or four things you looked at yesterday, 3 things you looked at yesterday. And then I also have the heating systems language, and so I didn't know if you wanted to go through either of
The
the
heating
changes.
system language, we're gonna wait.
Okay.
Where they, and then, yeah, you were gonna give us language on the repeal to reports,
Oh,
but.
I'm sorry, that's
Somewhere.
in the big
Okay.
huge thing, I'll give you the big huge thing tomorrow.
Yeah, that can be in the big thing.
Okay,
So are you talking about
the 3 things that you talked about yesterday, you did make some changes to those.
EPs?
Yes, registration fees for EPs.
Road usage?
Oh, I don't know that I sent them to, I didn't send them to you. You don't have them.
How many copies do you have?
I do not have them.
We have,
But can you
we
share?
have a copy machine.
Oh, okay.
Or we can share it.
I can share. it.
Share, okay, yeah, okay, sorry, and I will, actually, these were the ones that I sent to Logan, I sent to you earlier today. Can you forward that email to Olivia, please? Thank you.
We really wanna make it not an option for biennial, or why don't we just allow doubling of the biennial fee?
Talk to Michelle.
Yeah, it was,
So, it was problematic, and Patrick will be in, I think, on Tuesday next week, and he can speak to this further, but, from the DMV's, systems programming perspective, for one, and from the sort of underlying principle, this is different than a registration fee, this is a road use charge. And so we don't, just because you pay your road use charge for 2 years versus 1, we wanna give you a discount.
So you can still do your registration.
Yeah, you can still do your registration.
Alright.
Yeah. you
This
still
is
do-
not a
Right,
registration.
because you're not getting a discount on your gas tax, so why do we get a discount on this?
You kinda are getting a discount, but. Well, just because.
Processing costs.
But the way that this is written, it says
Properly,
it's not written properly. Okay, so we need to change the
What's
writing.
yeah,
Apparently.
so we'll give you the updated language.
Okay.
I don't think the language is correct the way it's written.
Okay, the way that I did it was that it was a registration for the electric vehicles, but apparently it is something that is an addition,
Yes,
which gets back to your 0.9 times rather than 1.9
Yes.
times. Okay, so I can, unless somebody's already done
it
it,
is
I
a
can.
road usage fee.
We'll get you sort of the corrections to this language.
Okay, great.
Clarify.
Yes, Senator
So
Chin.
is it our intent, and I just want this clear in my mind, that somebody with a battery electric vehicle can register their car for 2 years, and at that same instance, that they can pay this road usage fee for both of those years?
It'll be the same amount for each 2 years.
Okay, now, is
That's
it,
my understanding, as long as Wanda DMV can do it without causing.
Yeah, and I just wanna clarify that.
is it also our intent to allow them to register for 2 years, but just pay this for 1? Will there be the choice? That I don't think it's a big deal, but I'd love to have it clear in my
My
mind.
intent was that they could do both. Yes, but it's really up to DMV to tell us
As
operational
opposed to
or
you
we.
just gotta do a 1 year because of this.
Not a big deal, but details matter when you talk to constituents.
Will you talk to constituents?
I try to. I actually like it more.
And this gets rid of the doing a mile,
Yes.
This is just an easy way.
I mean, it doesn't get rid of it, they're still working on that one, but
Right,
yeah,
right.
this would just
But
be
this
this
is for this
usage.
right now.
And this concept does still have a B and a C with it, and this is section A. The B and the C deletes or repeals certain portions of it when the MBUF goes into effect. And whatever changes get made here will just need to get changed on that one as well. So I'll have the whole thing for you the next time.
Were you here, Michelle, when we talked about the 2 times and 1.5 times?
Yes, I was,
Okay.
I was doing that math.
Okay. And then maybe through a program or programs selected by the secretary, which may include programs which, that's where the money goes.
Right.
We're giving you flexibility. Senator Chin.
No, that's a good question.
Okay,
All right, so this will be changed next time. The other thing that you requested yesterday, are they up now, Olivia? No, okay. No, it's okay. Thank you. This is the central
Oh.
garage. Sorry, I only made 2.
Is this online?
She said not quite yet.
Okay.
Yeah, none of these are quite yet.
We changed it 3:23.
23.5, the Ingalls
The site,
amendment.
yeah, which I liked, the site,
Site, because before it was what?
locate or something, on which to locate, I think.
And I thought the notwithstanding was there before.
No,
No,
as
this
we
was
gave
a-
them broad, future use of that fund in a way that we didn't want to, expand beyond this specific.
Oh, right. This makes it specific to
To this project.
Ongoing for everything.
Yeah, so we making very clear that this opening up of the fund was only for the construction of the new.
Okay. I'm okay with
That's
that.
okay?
I'm good.
Okay, and
And
then.
where do you add these? You add these in
I'm putting
based
them-
on title? Like, is
I'm
that how they work? Or you just always add them on the end?
I was just putting it on the edges because it's easier to keep track of them, but I can put them in anywhere you need.
No, I just didn't know what the procedure is. If there is one.
Oops, I only have one of this,
But
so,
normally is it by statute, by BSA?
yes, that's what we try to do generally, and I can slot these in if you want me to, it's not a problem.
Okay.
The last one, and I'm sorry I don't have a copy, is the change to the railway lease, and it was to add a reference to the Code of Federal Regulations.
We got that this morning, so that's.
Surface, for the ramp.
Is this the same
Oh,
one?
you got it already, yes.
Look at
that's it.
this.
Yep, that's it, and I did
Same.
send it, yep, sent it earlier.
Yeah, we've done it.
So we
Oh,
did-
so that's okay?
Yeah, we,
Yeah.
Dan talked about that.
I'd forgotten that I'd sent that earlier, because Dan was gonna be in. Okay, so that is everything I have. I can clean up your whole strike all, I only have a few things that were still under discussion, and I'll get it proofread.
So you can give us a new full version.
I will give you a new whole version, tomorrow morning we're meeting.
And can you, we don't need a version like this, but I assume the new version will have, like, when we delete it, it won't just be gone, it'll say deleted.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna update this,
Okay.
and I will get you new copies. And I've changed all the green to gray. You can't see the green when it's printed out.
We can see it.
Oh, can you?
Well, if
You can see the green, you can't see what's under it.
Oh, yeah, right. I was wondering if there were things under.
And I'll put in some notes as well, and then I thought whoever takes over from you can just make this into a legal size and can just use this as the side-by-side as you go forward.
Right. So you can do those two things. So let's look at our calendar for tomorrow.
I'm coming at some point, but I don't remember what time.
You started at 9, right?
We're 9 and talk to, what do you call it, locomotion. And then we're gonna talk about the central garage budgets, so kind of understand that issue a little better.
Yeah, because that gets into the money issue.
I can be here and listen in on all of that if that would be
Well, why
helpful.
don't we
Just
just
make
have-
some changes.
So we have the 10G reporting, I can't, what more would we?
Well, I think if you're fine with the language, they were gonna come in to talk about the levels, but it sounds like you've settled on those levels. If you don't need any more information, that is fine. The other thing I was gonna have Jeremy talk about with you was the thing we were talking about earlier. I sent him a note.
Right.
Hold on.
Estimates of the cost to generate a 10G report.
Yeah, the cost estimates to generate the 10-year.
And then response to the auditor on the other,
Yeah,
did they send a letter, do we get to see it, those kind of things. I think it'd be better use of our time just to have Donna go through what you create. And then we don't need to hear from, as much as we would like to get Rod's stamp charts punched in. We will,
do you wanna reschedule those guys to next week?
Do they need to come in?
yeah, I don't know if we need to
Is
hear
your
from them,
You don't need them, okay.
but
So
maybe.
you just, Senator Chittenden just needs a direct response on what it would cost us to, you're all set.
And then if they could let us know if they sent the letter to the auditor,
Okay.
how they deal with the right of way thing, it would be good to know, but they can just email us. If we wanna talk to them, we know how to get a hold of them.
We have adequately punted the ball on that. I just didn't want to drop the ball when the letter.
I think that's a negative thing, I think we did more than just punt, like we took it down the field and then we got better field.
Got some yardage.
We didn't like punt on first down, that's what I thought you were saying. Take that analogy.
So what about the percentage for the electrify your fleet? Is that somebody needs to come in for that, or are we just gonna get
Just somebody
comment about it?
on the, I thought you were
Yeah,
gonna
I
have
can get-
Patrick.
I can get Patrick.
And we did have Patrick scheduled to come in, and I thought we had him a couple times where we thought his
Yeah.
testimony was gonna.
But he could just,
Let me,
all we need to know is, should 20% be 25, should it be, I don't know, whatever.
so there's that, and then I need to get back to you on the DMV fee, the
Yeah.
EV fee. Yeah, we may not need Patrick back.
Right, and it could somebody from DMV might wanna come in,
On the speed thing?
Yeah. but if not, they
Only
can
if
just go.
you need them to.
No, I only need them to come in if they need,
Okay, thank you, it's clear.
like if they wanna tell us something about the operability of the program.
Current or past or present or future.
Projected.
Right, the projected operability issues, is what we're wondering. But maybe you and I, Michelle, could check in to see if there's anything else that we're forgetting. Okay. So tomorrow at 10. So Olivia, if you could change the agenda for tomorrow, you can do that, right? Just change it just to say Donna,
At 10.
8868
Oh,
discussion.
there is one more thing from Jeremy. Let's see if I can do this or not. So the, this relates to the adoption of the MUTCD.
We love the end.
We do, we love the MUTCD.
The manual on uniform traffic control devices for streets and highways. The
Oh, NTU.
MUTCD, manual on uniform, there's no O, manual on uniform traffic control devices.
And it even includes speed limits. It's not just,
The device is assigned as a device in there.
It's devices, yeah,
So it's not
exactly,
roads,
right.
it's just about signs.
because a lot of municipalities want to take, like Route 5, they want it 25 miles per hour. And you have to comply and you have to do a traffic study and they will say, no, it doesn't warrant a reduction and you can't, even though you would like to reduce it to 30, you can't.
But doesn't this also include like turning widths and so on, so it does have road implications?
Well, I don't know if the MUTCD does.
No.
I thought there was something else that did, but maybe it is.
Maybe those are design standards.
Right.
And Justin Ramadou from South Burlington always referring to
Oh,
this
yeah.
road
Justin loves stuff.
designs.
Document. So this is really, once again, kind of like the railroads, it gets into the federal stuff. So what you see here is, so the MUTCD just recently got republished, updated by the feds. It happens very infrequently, like every 20, 30 years, I don't know. And so,
This just allows us to
yeah.
update us and it's updated. It just,
So rather than having the current language under B is the latest revision of MUTCD shall be adopted upon its effective date, except in the case of projects, et cetera. Well, it's gonna take probably about 2 years, according to our people, for us to sort of totally envelop the MUTCD into all of our processes as updated.
Has the MUTC has been updated or as we
Yes,
update our processes?
the federal MUTCD, the new one just barely came out. So we have a committee at the agency, a cross-sector committee that is working on where all the places we need to incorporate the new provisions in the MUTCD across our operating procedures and our planning processes, et cetera, et cetera. So this is just saying, to the extent consistent with federal law, projects beyond a preliminary state of design that are anticipated to be constructed in 2 years of the otherwise applicable effective date may be constructed according to the MUTCD standards applicable at the design stage. So in other words,
Design stage of the project.
yeah, we're not gonna go like, okay, MUTCD new was published in January. All the projects that are going out to bid after January 1st, we're not gonna go back and reprogram all those according to the new MUTCD. But we know that within 2 years, we need to bring all projects going forward into compliance.
all right.
And there's an explanation on page 2, which is hopefully what I just told you.
Have you seen this, Donna?
No, this is perfect.
This just isn't
It's
this
something you're
morning.
proposing, hot
Yeah.
off the press.
John Dunleavy sat in on the kickoff meeting for the MUTCD committee yesterday, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, we've got this problem.
Oh, so we've got to amend the statute so it recognizes this update and phase in.
Basically. So that was the only other thing Jeremy was gonna talk to
Okay.
you about tomorrow, and maybe we
You-
just.
Well, we know we can't argue with the
Well,
MUTCD.
Mudson, I like Mudson better. Mudson.
Mudson,
Mudson.
Mudson.
What's it today?
So is the intent to put this in the T-bill or in the miscellaneous? Okay, T-bill?
Yeah, so you could add that to your new
List.
new
But we've
T-bill.
approved and closed it out already.
You're still efficient?
Efficient.
Anything else you've got there in your bag?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
I hope that's it.
Actually, it's great, the timing, you know.
Yeah, that works out.
Really got now rather than.
John picked up on it yesterday, and we
Oh,
jumped right on it.
yeah.
So regarding the schedule for tomorrow, Jonathan Weber called me this morning and I believe he said that he was looking at this language for the DMV bill. It's currently warned for 868, but I don't know if that means anything for drafting language for the T-bill versus letting the House Transportation add it to the DMV bill.
What's he want, money?
He wants 5 changes to road rules and bike peds for bicyclists.
Oh.
They seem-
Yeah, so maybe, so you're talking about how it's worded on the.
Yeah, but I just don't know.
I think you're correct. It's not really 868. We're not gonna add it to 868. It's really about
From that conversation.
Motor vehicle, that, is it
What's that?
miscellaneous motor vehicle?
That's still something that they're
Which
discussing.
number is that?
They're discussing
The
upstairs.
VAB
We're discussing it, they haven't decided to include it.
309. So there, yeah, my understanding from talking to the chair is she's just starting to take testimony on this to include an S309.
Oh,
So it'll be coming back to you later when it's more
So we're kind of
stabilized.
preparing ourselves for this. So Olivia, did you catch that?
ready, huh?
309 just.
It's better to be ready and not be called than be called and not be
For
ready.
9 o'clock.
We were told that growing up.
What were we told?
Be ready and not be called, then be called and not be ready.
So we're gonna be ready,
We will be ready.
yes,
And call.
I
right,
always plan for the worst and hope for the best.
yeah.
That's my little phrase.
Unfortunately, it's like the man who said he didn't expect much for Christmas, but he didn't get as much as he expected. So, keep that in mind. All right, well, it's nice, Donna, that you've been here to help us out.
It's been fun.
You can come back after your trip.
I'm not sure you guys are, hopefully you'll be home by then.
Can we adjourn then?
We can adjourn for the day unless anybody else has anything else to talk about.
I'll